An ancient creature remains at large, embedded deep within Scottish folklore.
It's an animal big enough to bite a car in half.
Sightings seem to defy scientific explanation.
Did you see something on Loch Ness that you cannot explain?
Yes.
Leaving no stone unturned, the hunt is on.
We're picking up some really big sonar contacts below us.
This is military-grade equipment, and we're gonna get it.
Former private investigator turned monster hunter Steve Culls has spent the last 12 years searching for evidence of the legendary Sasquatch. He's come to Scotland to investigate the existence of the infamous Loch Ness monster and resolve one of the world's greatest enigmas.
The Loch Ness monster is like the biggest mystery in the world. I mean, there isn't a person on the planet that probably hasn't heard about it. I think that's because it's so specific to one particular body of water. It can be pinpointed on a map. It's got to be more than myth. It's got to be reality.
Hundreds of thousands descend on Loch Ness annually, hoping to catch a glimpse of the mythical creature. New theories evolve to explain the legend of the Loch Ness monster. Some believers speculate that the elusive creature is a plesiosaur, a prehistoric aquatic reptile spanning up to 20 meters in length, thought to have become extinct 65 million years ago.
There is always the possibility that something might have survived in some undiscovered pocket of the world.
Others believe the Loch may be hiding a new biological secret.
The Loch Ness monster is a creature that has so far been undiscovered. It's something navigating here from the sea.
For 500 years, these people have been seeing something that doesn't belong here.
Brought to the world's attention in the 1930s, there have been over 10,000 reported sightings of the Loch Ness monster and numerous search attempts, all to no avail. Yet people still continue to see a monster.
Like a black anaconda, that's what it looked like. Came out of the water like that, and then it went down, and there was a boil of white foam.
Steve Culls has assembled a team of highly trained divers, the latest underwater technology, and marine experts, all to seek new evidence and solve this enduring mystery. Loch Ness is roughly 36 kilometers long and 1.5 kilometers wide. It sinks to a staggering depth of 240 meters, making it deeper than the North Sea. The team are faced with a daunting task. Local boat captain George Edwards suggests the team starts at the stretch of water with the highest occurrence of sightings, and where sonar images suggest the existence of caves, enabling a creature to move between the loch and the open sea.
Guys, we are at the base of the Urquhart Castle, the epicenter of this mystery for centuries. This is an opportunity to get into the water and to find some of the answers to the questions that have been asked. And some of the things we need to look for, aside from the creature itself, would be areas where the creature can hide, caves, food sources, anything out of the ordinary.
Previous expeditions have been hampered by the water conditions. The high peat content means there's almost zero visibility. The team are using the latest Didson sonar imaging camera. This will enable them to see in the dark without the use of bright lights that may scare away a monster.
The difference between the Didson and the older types of sonar is like comparing a horse and buggy to a Formula One car. This is military-grade equipment and stuff you just can't go in and buy off the shelf. If the Loch Ness Monster comes within range of this equipment, we're gonna get it.
Ready?
Yeah, when you're clear, you're good to go.
Within seconds, visibility is reduced to nothing, and the divers switch to sonar vision. They move through the debris that lies strewn across the loch, while Steve Cowles waits in anticipation. Many in the scientific community have dismissed eyewitness reports as unreliable, citing wildlife, hoaxes, and optical illusions for misidentification.
The numbers of sightings that's been here on the loch over 600 years, even if you take 99% of them and put them in the trash can, you turn around and you still have that 1% that can't be explained. Well, we need to explain it.
Local resident Val Moffat lives just above the dive team's current location and has seen the creature on 2 occasions.
The first time I saw it was in September 1990. I was driving up and I saw it in the bay between the castle and the far headland. I glanced and thought, what on earth is that? It was just like a rowing boat which had overturned in the water, same shape. It was very dark grey, shiny with the water on it. It was about 25 to 30 feet in length and 8 to 10 feet to the top of the back of the body. I glanced at it 3, maybe 4 times, and the final time it was gone. The nearest I can describe it really is pictures I've seen of plesiosaurs. Similar colour, similar texture, just grey, shiny with the water, and the same sort of size really. Many times people have said to me, oh, you must have seen something, it was an illusion. And I just say, no, I know I've seen something that can't be explained. As far as all the scientists go who say there's nothing out there, I just say, wait until you see it. Once you've seen it, you'll believe there's something there. Definitely.
After a day of searching the loch, the divers surface with the Didson sonar camera.
Got it. The evidence we're looking for is food supply, such as fish. We're looking for possible skeletons on the floor. We're looking for hiding spots, large boulders, caves.
After detailed examination of the images, nothing conclusive is revealed. But this does little to deter Steve.
I believe the Loch Ness Monster has been so elusive because the depth of this loch, this is 832 feet deep. It's huge. You could fit scores of creatures in here.
The fact that the water is very murky due to the peat content, it's very much on the side of the Loch Ness Monsters.
You think the Loch Ness Monster could hide out in this water?
Easily. If you can't see that far in front of you, and it's really deep down there, so there's loads of hiding places out there.
The latest evidence to surface is provided by landscape gardener Richard Preston.
I was working on the terrace of Alderich Castle and I noticed a shimmering object in the water. It took me by surprise and it just struck me as something quite out of the ordinary. I took a picture of it on my iPhone. It looked serpentine. It had 3 humps along with it, and one end was larger than the other. The water looked so smooth, like a mill pond, and there was no wake from any boats, there were no boats passing, and there was nothing to indicate that it was a log or anything ridiculous.
The images from Richard's phone are sent to London to be examined by photoanalyst Tony Kay.
If you look very carefully at the data that comes along with these images, what is called the metadata, there is a GPS information, and that clearly shows that the pictures were taken in Scotland, and even better, actually by Loch Ness. Of the images that we have, one of them is particularly interesting because there is structure in the water of 3 white objects, and you can see them quite clearly here. Could it possibly be a reflection from the white houses in the background? If you look carefully, the alignment isn't really perfect for that. And if you look at the other image, you've got other houses in the background, but without the white appearing there. I don't believe that these photographs have been tampered or manipulated or photoshopped in any way. I genuinely believe that we've got a case of somebody with a phone cam seeing something of interest, taking a picture, and then supplying the images as is.
Loch Ness is an ancient lake hidden in the remote Scottish Highlands. A deep, dark body of water, famed for one unresolved mystery. With over 10,000 reported sightings of an unknown monster, what is it that people are seeing?
Eyewitness encounters are very important because they represent direct evidence. It's not circumstantial, it's not subjective evidence. This is seen by somebody that can verify and give us a description of what they're seeing.
But are these eyewitness accounts subjective? Most have never been scientifically verified, until now. Loch Ness investigator Steve Cowles has teamed up with veteran polygraphist David Bird, a former police detective from Scotland Yard. For over 20 years, people have questioned Val Moffat's integrity and the accuracy of her sightings.
We're here today for me to prove that I have definitely seen something on Loch Ness which I can't explain.
The polygraph will give you an indication as to whether a person is being deceptive or not. The purpose of the test is to establish that they are telling the truth about what they're saying.
I hope they'll pass the exam today because that'll be another notch in the credibility factor of the witnesses, as well as another addition to the evidence mounting for the Loch Ness Monster.
What this does is it measures your sweat gland activity. Right, I want you to face forward, close your eyes. This test is about to begin. Please remain still, listen to the questions. The answer is yes or no. Is your name Valerie?
Yes.
Are you afraid that I'll ask you a question we did not review?
No.
Do you intend to answer truthfully each question on this test?
Yes.
Did you see something on Loch Ness you're unable to explain?
Yes.
Is today Saturday?
Yes.
Did you see something on Loch Ness that you cannot explain?
Yes.
Val, I've sat and had a look at the charts here. In my opinion, you were telling the truth that you believe that you saw something in Loch Ness.
Thank you.
On those 2 times that you talked to me about.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good.
I am vindicated. I've proved that for years and years and years I've been telling the truth.
Val Moffat's description of a plesiosaur corresponds with eyewitness reports that have spanned over 80 years. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster was little more than folklore, until in 1933, the iconic image, the surgeon's photograph, emerged. The identity of the Loch Ness Monster was born. Plesiosaurs were gigantic salt and freshwater reptiles that lived in the prehistoric era when dinosaurs ruled the Earth. They're thought to have become extinct 65 million years ago. Paleontologist Richard Forrest is a leading expert on plesiosaurs.
They were very successful. They dominated the world seas for 160 million years. They could have been as much as 16 or 17 meters long. They were the size of a sperm whale. It's an animal big enough and powerful enough to bite a car in half.
They were really distinctive in body shape. They had kind of a short, stocky, barrel-shaped body. They had 2 pairs of wing-like paddles that they used to swim through the water. They had a short tail, and most kinds had a long and fairly flexible neck.
They're probably the most ubiquitous and widespread vertebrates that ever lived.
Some well-known species have endured from prehistoric times. Although believed to be extinct, could there be a surviving population of plesiosaurs living in Loch Ness?
It is just remotely possible that in some remote swamp somewhere there are plesiosaurs struggling to make a living in some particular niche which hasn't been used by anything else.
A sea creature brought back from the dead could hold the key to this puzzle.
The discovery of the coelacanth is tantamount to this mystery, much like the plesiosaur that was thought to be extinct.
Up until 1938, the coelacanth was thought to be an extinct fish that died out some 65 million years ago when dinosaurs disappeared. Its rediscovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community.
It's entirely possible that these plesiosaurs may still exist in remote waters of the Atlantic Ocean and actually visit this loch every now and again.
39 years after the rediscovery of the coelacanth, another extraordinary piece of evidence materializes. 1977, a Japanese trawler fishing off the coast of New Zealand netted a carcass of an unidentified animal. At the time, Japanese scientists came to the extraordinary conclusion that the carcass could be that of a plesiosaur. Pictures and dimensions were taken by the crew before it was thrown back overboard, making any scientific conclusions speculative. For centuries, sightings of the Loch Ness Monster describe a solitary creature, but for Richard Forrest, this idea of a lone plesiosaur is not plausible.
I don't think any single animal could live for that long, which means you'd effectively have to have a population. Loch Ness would have to be supporting a population of at least, I'd thought, 30 or 40 plesiosaurs to have any chance whatsoever of maintaining that population.
So if there isn't a breeding population, how is it possible for a single creature to reproduce? An anomaly of nature could hold the key. In 2006, at London Zoo, a biological phenomenon occurred. A female Komodo dragon became pregnant, despite having no contact with a male dragon.
She started to swell, she started to go sort of quiet, if you like, so not being quite so active. It's not uncommon for reptiles to go through the motion and pass infertile eggs. But at no point did we actually think she was gravid as such. So it wasn't until myself and a colleague candled those eggs sort of 3 or 4 weeks after we first discovered them that we actually realised that, you know, they were developing, they were alive.
Amazingly, the female dragon had given birth to parthenogenetic offspring, reptiles born by virgin birth.
This had never happened before. You know, this was a world first. What was interesting was it had never been seen before in dragons. It's probably a lot more common than we at first realised.
Could this bizarre act of nature explain how a single Loch Ness monster could reproduce without the need for a breeding population?
If there is a creature in Loch Ness, and assuming that that creature might be reptilian, one might assume that, yeah, it could reproduce through parthenogenesis.
The search for the Loch Ness Monster has produced a generation of monster hunters. "20 years have passed since Steve Feltham gave up his job, home and girlfriend to pursue his childhood dream of looking for the Loch Ness Monster. Leaving all behind, he now lives in an aging mobile home and keeps a permanent vigil on the water.
It was a lifelong dream to be involved in this mystery. I first came here when I was 7 and fell in love with the place and the mystery. I decided this is what I want to be doing with my life, hunting for the answers at Loch Ness. I've only seen one thing that completely defies explanation to me. Something went across my vision like a torpedo going through the water. Just a spray of water, very fast, very short period of time. No idea what that was.
But over the last 20 years at the Loch, Steve's theory on what the murky waters are hiding has altered.
I used to think we're looking for a plesiosaur in Loch Ness. I don't anymore. I think after speaking to all the different people that are involved in hunting for this, I think what we're left with is most likely a sturgeon.
Sturgeon are prehistoric fish that have lived for around 200 million years. A creature that can travel thousands of kilometers from one continent to another.
There was a sturgeon spotted in the tidal part of the River Ness, and that story has sort of got adopted into, well, maybe that's the explanation in Loch Ness.
Steve Feltham's sturgeon theory is backed up by Darren Naish, an expert in ancient sea creatures.
Certainly from other large lake systems around the world, lakes connected to the sea by rivers like Loch Ness, there is good reason for thinking that sturgeons might explain some of the lake monster reports.
A key argument for the sturgeon theory lies in descriptions from eyewitness reports.
People do describe crocodile-like scoots running along the top of the back. They sound very similar to the horny scoots that sturgeons have along their backs.
The eyewitness descriptions may provide compelling evidence, but the Loch Ness Monster is reported to be over 5 meters in length. To be a serious contender, it would have to be a monster sturgeon. The Natural History Museum, London. One of the world's most distinguished scientific institutions, with an 80-year association with the Loch Ness Monster mystery. Oliver Crimmins is the curator of the zoology department.
This is the head of a 10-foot sturgeon caught off Scotland. This is a very large fish which spends part of its life at sea but then swims up rivers to breed, and so you've got a very large animal swimming in fresh water.
The gigantic sturgeon is one of the largest freshwater fish found in UK waters. Scientists estimate they can live for well over 100 years. This could explain the century-long sightings at Loch Ness.
Sturgeon are fairly reclusive. They live on the bottom. In the size of the loch, it might be that the animal would very rarely be seen at the surface. The loch is big enough to accommodate a large sturgeon. It would be able to survive in terms of living space, diet, and the temperature and other conditions would be perfectly supportive.
This living dinosaur can grow to more than 1,000 kilograms and over 7 meters in length.
The reports of a monster in the loch require it to be something fairly big. Now, what do we know that can get into the loch? What do we know that can travel up a river and enter a lake of any sort? Well, that's the sturgeon.
Could the Loch Ness Monster simply be a case of mistaken identity? No longer a monster reptile, but a monster fish. Using modern technology, the quest for the Loch Ness Monster has now gone global.
It's the modernisation of the whole research project that's been taking place over the last 4 decades. It's bringing it up to date.
Miko Takala maintains a 24/7 surveillance using high-tech CCTV cameras strategically placed around the loch, all of which are hooked up to the internet. His website receives up to 33,000 hits per month, enabling people from around the world to join the hunt for the Loch Ness Monster.
We're effectively using the combined brain power and the eyesight of millions of people around the world. When you actually see it, it's a sort of jaw-dropping moment, a prickly hairs on the back of your neck moment. You suddenly realise that there's something out there with your own eyes you are experiencing in real time. It actually is there, and it's a bit of a sort of shock.
To date, Miko's CCTV cameras have yet to capture any hard evidence. But he still has a firm belief that there is something inhabiting the murky waters, a creature unknown to science.
Well, for me, one of the most compelling pieces of evidence is a diver who went into Loch Ness many years ago, and he actually came up white-faced, literally shaking with terror, having confronted something deep in the murky water with his torch, which he said was so grotesque it was like some face from hell. I think we're looking at a creature that's coming in from the sea and also going into the sea, which explains why we don't see it all the time. There could be a family of sea creatures.
So you feel it's an unknown cryptid, not yet discovered?
Absolutely.
Man's fascination with mythical sea creatures has a deep-rooted history. Tales of serpents and giant squid that can take down an entire ship have long been the subjects of novels and films.
The thing about myths and legends is over the last few centuries, some myths and legends have turned out to be reality. Sailors who reported the giant sea monster in the Pacific Ocean, well, turned out to be the giant squid. So this should serve as a lot of encouragement and intrigue to, you know, particularly me and other cryptozoologists.
There really is no doubt, in my view, that there are unknown animals awaiting discovery by science.
Cryptozoologist Dr. Charles Paxton is a research fellow from the School of Mathematics and Statistics at the University of St Andrews.
To estimate the total amount of giant unknown animals awaiting discovery by science, I plotted out the cumulative number of species described every year since 1750, where modern biological description begins. At first, we discover things at a very, very fast rate. Then, as time progresses, animals become more difficult to discover, and so the rate at which we describe new species slowly flattens out. But it hasn't totally flattened out. By extrapolating that curve, we can estimate the total number of species to be discovered in the future. It could be in as many as 15 new species.
Even today, we know more about space than about our own oceans.
Our knowledge of the open ocean, you could argue, is actually pretty rudimentary. The potential for discovery there is vast. So within recent decades, scientists have discovered a variety of new large marine animals, including large sharks, dolphins, and whales.
Amongst these new discoveries is the megamouth shark, first reported in 1976 off the coast of Hawaii. A gigantic, monstrous shark that can grow up to 5 meters and 750 kilograms in weight. There have been fewer than 40 sightings of these elusive creatures. The megamouth shark is conclusive proof that extremely large species can go undetected.
Scientists definitely have got it wrong several times in the past when they've gone on record and said there are no new species to find. And this shows that we don't know all of the animals of the world. There still are new animals to find.
Mikko Takala has been hunting the Loch Ness Monster since 1992. He's had one clear sighting.
Talk me through what you saw. What did you see at that time?
I was on my own, looking out at Loch Ness. I saw 3 humps in the water. I just stood and watched it, and I sort of got prickles on the back of my neck. It felt a bit surreal. Then I thought, well, it's going so slowly, surely it will stay there. I have to get back to the car and get my camera. I must have a picture of this. But it was a long walk to the car, and it took me time to get the camera. And when I returned, it had simply vanished, and I just assumed that it had dived. I just cannot come up with an explanation for it.
So ultimately you're saying there's something that you say that you saw in there that you have not been able to explain in any way?
That's correct.
Well, that's what we're going to be testing you on today. Whether you believe you saw something in Loch Ness that you have been unable to explain in October 2003. This test is about to begin. Please remain still. Listen to the questions. The answer is yes or no. Is your name Mikko?
Yes.
Do you intend to answer truthfully each question on the test today?
Yes.
Do you remember ever telling an important lie?
No.
In October 2003, did you see something you are unable to explain?
Yes.
Do you now remember ever cheating anybody out of anything?
No.
In October 2003, did you see something you cannot explain?
Yes.
Mikko, I've had a chance to have a look at the charts here. And in my opinion, you've passed your test here today.
I've been through a pretty intensive test, which has proved that I definitely saw something that I consider to be completely unexplainable.
Well, both our witnesses have passed the polygraph exam. This means that they have seen something truly that does not normally belong in Loch Ness.
The polygraph test results suggest that the eyewitnesses believe that they have seen the Loch Ness Monster, but this does not prove that it exists.
Eyewitness testimony can be extremely unreliable. Human memory isn't like a video recorder. Human memory is a constructive process.
Psychologist Chris French believes there's a logical explanation for the eyewitnesses' claimed sightings.
Every time you try and remember something, you are actually constructing that memory on the basis of traces of the original memory, plus your own expectations and beliefs, and the mind will tend to fill in any gaps that are there. Please do come in. And if you could just take a seat.
Chris French conducts a demonstration with two groups of volunteers to show how eyewitnesses' memories can be distorted. The first group has shown a set of 20 ambiguous line drawings with labels attached. After 20 minutes, they leave the room and the second group arrive, who are then presented with the same line drawings, but with different labels attached. For example, Group 1 was shown a house, whereas Group 2 was shown the same image with the word envelope attached. An hour later, each group is asked to replicate what they've seen.
The next image was eyeglasses. What we were interested in was the degree to which the label that we attached to them would actually influence people's memory when they came to reproducing them. We can refer to one stimulus as being a hat for one group and a UFO for another group. Even though the initial stimulus was very simple, those who had the UFO label would tend to make their drawings much more like a standard flying saucer. Those who had the hat label would tend to produce something that would be more like, say, a top hat, for example. And so it shows the influence that the kind of verbal labelling can have on recall for visual stimuli. In the case of possible sightings at Loch Ness, if someone sees something kind of ambiguous in the distance, some kind of splashing around in the water, if they've labelled that in their minds as being the monster, then subsequently when they tell people about what they saw, they may add in all kinds of details that fit with the idea of the Loch Ness Monster that weren't actually really there in the original scene.
Chris French's demonstration questions the legitimacy of eyewitness sightings. But for one veteran boat captain, there's no doubt about what he has seen numerous times on the loch.
I was up in an area known as Gory's Cave and spotted something unusual in the water opposite the boat. Looked across and we had a large, dark grey coloured hump sitting between half a mile and 3/4 mile away from me. I watched it for about 8 minutes, and as a boat came closer, it slowly disappeared. I just rewrote everything that was in my mind at the time. You know, it suddenly took me from being on the edge of believing to, there's something here. I believe that they are there. I've seen them. Nobody can take those sightings away from me. They're hard drived into me.
Monsters are entrenched in every culture. Zombies, vampires, and the physical mutants of science. Monsters are everywhere. And Scotland's monster is recognised in every corner of the globe, spawning a multi-million-dollar industry.
The Loch Ness Monster is famous all over the world, much like Godzilla is for Japan. It's a timeless brand because the monster has been around forever. It's a prehistoric dinosaur. It will be around for some time to come, I would imagine.
The most common description that eyewitnesses report is of a plesiosaur, the iconic image of the Loch Ness Monster. Paleozoologist Darren Naish thinks there are problems with the plesiosaur theory.
Plesiosaurs were surface-dwelling animals that did most of their feeding somewhere within the surface zone. They obviously had to come to the surface to breathe. Now, people have, on many occasions, done lochside vigils where people watch the entire surface of the lake for days on end. If there were animals like plesiosaurs in the loch, we would see them regularly. They would be breaking the surface regularly. We don't have that.
One of the principal reasons why I'm sure that what people see in Loch Ness is not a plesiosaur is because they talk about this neck coming out of the water. Well, if a plesiosaur did that, either it's sitting vertically in the water or else it's breaking its neck. It's anatomically impossible, and it's actually mechanically impossible.
The plesiosaur idea is pretty much dead in the water.
Another theory suggests that the Loch Ness Monster is an undiscovered new species. But for many scientists, there are fundamental flaws in this idea.
Loch Ness is a really interesting habitat because all of the studies that have been done on the loch's ecology conclude that the amount of animal material that it's able to support is actually really low. This means that any large carnivorous animal at the top of the food chain basically can't exist in Loch Ness. There isn't enough food. In comparison to the oceans, a region like Loch Ness is actually really thoroughly explored. It's not something that we've only just discovered. It's been historically well known for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. I don't think you can make a good argument that it's the sort of place that might throw up new undiscovered species.
Can new photographic evidence finally reveal the true identity of the infamous creature?
It looks serpentine. It had 3 humps along with it, and one end was larger than the other. It appeared to move as if it was a living body.
In London, Tony Kay examines Richard Preston's images.
I genuinely believe that we've got a case of somebody with a phone cam seeing something of interest, taking a picture, and then supplying the images as is. The key issue is a lack of resolution that we've got here. If you zoom in very carefully here, what you end up with is just pixels rather than the ability to show structure in the subject. That's why from a technical perspective it isn't good enough to establish with any degree of certainty what it is you've taken a picture of. When you look at the degree of similarity between the blob on the left and the blob on the middle, that tends to imply, to my way of thinking, that we're dealing with something that is man-made, and given that it's in the water and there's some hints of reflections, then I feel it's most likely to be 3 boats that are moored together, 2 of the same size and 1 that's a little larger.
So if the Loch Ness Monster is just a myth, why does it endure?
I think the Loch Ness Monster has a great deal to do with the international, the global identity of Scotland. For the tourist industry and for many people in Scotland, there's a very tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement of the monster.
For Steve Cowles, the true answers still remain undiscovered.
Sighting reports haven't diminished. They're still there, and there's still numbers and scores of sightings that we can't explain why. Given the fact that there's been so many other new animal discoveries around this world, both marine and otherwise, yes, I really do believe that science needs to take another look at the Loch Ness Monster.
But for some, the hunt for a creature living beneath the murky waters is far from over.
I will keep looking for the Loch Ness Monster as long as I think I'm breathing. I see no reason to stop. The technology gets better and better and more exciting.
I've never really felt like giving up. I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the thing I've always wanted to do. Try and identify what's in Loch Ness, and that's enough for me.
Brand new, The Truth Behind explores the legend of Atlantis at the same time next week. After the break, we're on the trail of another elusive monster.